Hey, what's going on, friend? Juan Pablo here. A few months back, I made a video about how you can use business credit to get into some multifamily properties. Now, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to share with you how you can use a cash out refinance to get out of that business credit. So normally, if you apply for business credit through us, you will receive business credit cards with a 0% interest rate, APR, for about 6 to 12 months, right? And it's a great tool to use to get you inside the door of a multi-unit property. However, as we all know, that introductory APR may expire within 12 months. So it's important for you to know exactly what you can do to get out of that business credit. Vitally important to know how to get out the back door when you come in the front door. You should always have that mindset, to say, as a real estate investor. Because when I'm buying a property, I always think about, okay, so if I'm using seller financing, if I'm using business credit, whatever form of financing I'm using, how am I going to get out of it? So for today's instruction, today's teaching, what I'm going to do is use my trusty iPad right here as a guide, so we jot down some numbers and go over scenarios to further your understanding. So let's get into it. All right, so let's say you bought a multi-unit property. It was a 4-unit. Purchase price is $80,000. So you have 80,000. That's the PP, the purchase price, okay? But let's say you're buying this property at a good discount simply because the seller is extremely motivated. Let's say she's motivated because who knows? She's got laid off. She's getting laid off, right? And she don't want this property, and she's going to move back home, whatever the case may be. So let's say it's 100,000. That's the ARV. That's the after repair value. But let's say it's not really much repairs need to be done, right? Just very cosmetic stuff. But you know that, hey, I got on the contract for 80, but I know it's worth $100,000 on the market. And it's not a major rehab. It's actually in decent shape. So this property, being that you found this property with a motivated seller, you're buying this with extreme built-in equity. So you might be thinking, well, how do you calculate the built-in equity? You take the ARV of 100,000. You subtract the purchase price, which is 80,000. That gives you 20,000 built-in equity. But as a percentage, it'll be 20,000 over 100,000, which is the ARV, right? Which gives you 20% built-in equity. And this is at closing. And that's how you always want to buy a property as a real estate investor. You never want to buy a property at the full value. You always want to buy the property at a discount, period. So in this case, you're buying it with a significant discount, 20%. Now, do I obtain properties with 20% built-in equity all the time? No, sometimes it might be 5%, sometimes maybe 10, 3%. It just depends on the deal. But in this case, 20% built-in equity. All right, so let's move forward. So if you're buying it for 80,000, let's calculate the down payment. Let's calculate the down payment over here. All right, so you have a lender and they said they'll give you an 80% LTV, meaning loan to value. So you take your purchase price of $80,000 and you multiply this times 0.80, because that's the 80% LTV, loan to value, which your lender is willing to lend you on a property, and that comes out to be 64,000. So 64,000 represents your mortgage loan amount. So this will be your mortgage. Now for your down payment, you subtract the 80,000 from the 64. So you take it takes 80,000. This is your purchase price minus your 64,000, which is your loan amount, your mortgage. Let's say for mortgage. Not your monthly mortgage payment, but just the total amount. And that equates to $16,000. Now, if you use business credit for the $16,000, then you got this property 100% financed because you took 80% of the money came from the mortgage company and 20% came from your business credit card. So that's 20% plus 80%, that's 100% finance. Got it? Cool. And you might have it, the 16,000, interest rate is 0% APR for 12 months. Okay. And let's say based upon this amount, your minimum monthly payment is $160 per month on this credit card payment. You're using business credit for this. And the way we calculate it, so every credit card is different. We get that question often on Mortgage Finance in the comments, so make sure you leave comments if you have any questions. We get that question often about, well, how do you determine the down payment amount? Well, there's calculators you can Google online, but depending on your credit card, you just have to call them and just ask them, hey, how do you calculate the down payment? Because every credit card has a different process. And in this case, it's 1% of the amount that you borrow. That's the monthly payment. Okay, so the loan amount again is $64,000. Now let's say your bank has season requirements of 12 months, meaning your mortgage company will not allow you to do a cash out refinance until you hold the property for a year. Each bank has different criteria. Some are 6 months, some are 12 months. But let's say in this case, it's 12 months. So excluding the principal pay down, let's say you still owe $64,000 in principal on the mortgage a year later. So let's say a year went by, of course you're making monthly payments, the $64,000 should be paid down. But let's just say to make the math easy, it's still $64,000, okay? And you're making payments to your business credit, so it still shouldn't be $16,000, but let's just keep it as it is just to show you the quick analysis of the math. All right, so if you do a cash out refinance, you take 80% of the ARV. So if the ARV is 100,000, and you multiply this times 0.8, you get 80,000. So this is the amount that a mortgage company will allow you to use for a cash out refinance. And then you subtract your mortgage loan amount, which is 64,000. So this is all cash out refi. Now I get this question often, hey Juan, how come you don't do a HELOC? What is an investment property? Most mortgage companies, they don't do a home equity line of credit for investment, only a cash out refinance for investment properties. They normally use 80%. Of course, it always changes, again, but at the time of recording, what I've experienced as an investor is 80%. So you take the ARV times 80%, 80,000, subtract your mortgage amount. Again, in the real world, this will be less, but we're just gonna do that math. And you get 16,000 here. So 16,000, excluding closing costs, this represents your cash out refi amount. So this is the equity that you're actually pulling out the deal. So if you pulled out 16,000, of course you got two options. Option one, you can use this cash out refinance money, 16,000, towards your next deal, assuming your business credit card payment isn't too high. But let's say it is, whatever the case may be, that's option one, is use it towards another deal. Or option two, you can use this cash out refinance to pay off the 16,000 in business credit, which is right here, which you use for the down payment. So in that case, you just took the equity out the property through a refinance, just holding the property for a year to pay off the business credit. So you might be thinking, well, Juan, that sounds good in theory, but won't your cash flow be affected by that? Because you're having a higher mortgage amount. Because at first your mortgage was 64,000, but now your new mortgage is 80,000. So won't your monthly mortgage payment go up? Yes, it will. Great observation. However, make sure that this new mortgage amount is greater than what you were paying on business credit. So of course the payment may be a bit higher for business credit because this is like a credit card, right? But for the new mortgage, it's amortized over 20 to 30 years at 5% interest rate. So even though it might be a larger dollar amount, it should be less than what you're paying here on business credit. All right, if you're curious to know more about the math, about how to analyze deals using 100% finance and so forth, we have a ton of resources for you on our website. All you gotta do is just check the links below so that you can learn more, so you can start taking action this year on being a multifamily or multi-unit real estate investor. All right, guys, so there's some math on how to use a cash out refinance for your multi-unit property to pay off or pay down your business credit. If you want business credit, check us out as well. As always, guys, to your success, earn passively, live passionately. Peace.